In today's class, we're going to talk about some familiar yet extreme mammals of the world. Now, a mammal is a class of animal with some specific characteristics. Mammals are warm-blooded animals, which means they produce their own internal heat and they don't rely on the heat from the environment to regulate their body temperatures. Mammals also have hair or fur on their bodies, and the mothers feed their young with milk that their bodies produce. Mammals are some of the most recognizable animals around us. Dogs and cats are mammals. Horses, sheep, and cows are mammals. Even lions and tigers and bears are all mammals. From pets to predators, from the savannahs to the mountains, from deserts to oceans, you'll find mammals designed to thrive in every environment. So let's consider some of the tallest, largest, longest, most comical mammals to understand the wonders that God created on days 5 and 6. Our first mammal today is the tallest living land animal, the remarkable giraffe. With its tall neck and thin legs and long tongue, this wonder of creation shows some amazing designs which evolution can simply not explain. Let's let Eric Lyons describe this fascinating creature and pay some special attention to how the giraffe is intelligently designed.
The height of an 18-foot giraffe, the tallest of all land animals today, is quite daunting. The clumsy-looking giraffe's ability to run more than 30 miles per hour is very impressive. Their ability to go weeks without drinking water, if necessary, is remarkable. Their 18-inch tongues, 8-foot-long tails, and 6-foot-tall newborns are all very striking. Perhaps most remarkable is the design of the giraffe's circulatory system. Consider that a giraffe's brain is about 8 feet higher than its heart. So in order to get blood from its heart up to its brain, a giraffe must have an enormous heart that can pump blood extremely hard against gravity. What's more, it must maintain such blood pressure as long as the giraffe's neck is vertically in the air. It should come as no surprise that this long-necked mammal is equipped with a 2-foot-long, 20-plus-pound, thick-walled heart that is large enough and strong enough to pump blood 8 feet high, creating blood pressure that is about twice that of any other large land mammal and as much as 3 times that of the average person. But what about when a giraffe suddenly lowers its head several feet below its heart to get a drink of water? What happens to all of the blood that the heart normally pumps upward against gravity to the brain? If the design of the giraffe were merely left up to time, chance, and random mutations, what would you expect to happen the first time a giraffe tried to lower its neck to get a drink of water? It would seem the heart would pump so much blood to the brain that its blood vessels would explode, or its brain would fill up with blood so quickly that the giraffe would pass out and perhaps soon be eaten by a lion or a crocodile. So how does the giraffe keep from having brain bleeds or from feeling woozy and passing out every time it bends down and raises back up? Giraffes are specially designed with intricate valves in their jugular veins. These valves help control how much blood gets to the brain during those times when the giraffe has its head lowered. Working together with these valves is a network of blood vessels known as the wonder net of the carotids, which controls the blood flow into its head. Atheistic evolutionists admit that the giraffe has a complex pressure regulation system, unique valves that prevent overpressure when it lowers its head, a network of blood vessels that help stabilize the blood pressure as the giraffe moves its neck up and down, and a heart powerful enough to send an adequate amount of blood 8 feet upwards against gravity. Evolutionists would have us believe that nature provided giraffes with all of this special equipment. But how do mindless, purposeless, random processes of time and chance adequately explain unique valves, a heart, lungs, and arteries all being just the right size, as well as a wonder net that keeps just the right constant blood pressure in the brain, whether the giraffe's neck is raised or lowered? Even more difficult for evolution to explain is how all of these sophisticated body parts came about simultaneously. After all, What good is a big heart without a network of blood vessels that stabilizes blood pressure? And what is the point of the wonder net of the carotids if the giraffe did not have a heart powerful enough to pump blood 8 feet into the air to begin with? Evolutionist Robert Wesson openly addressed this issue in his book Beyond Natural Selection. He wrote, "All these things had to be accomplished in step, and they must have been done rapidly. That it could all have come about by synchronized random mutations strains the definition of random. The most critical question, however, is how the original impetus to giraffeness and a million other adaptations got started and acquired sufficient utility to have selective value. The observer must be often tempted to suppose that organisms have responded to their conditions and needs more purposefully than strict Darwinian theory can allow." The circulatory system of many animals, as well as mankind, is a fascinating study. The amazingly intricate design of the giraffe circulatory system, as well as the rest of its anatomy and physiology, demand a much better explanation than the random processes of evolution. In truth, the giraffe is brilliantly designed, a wonder of God's creation.
As you watched the giraffe run and move, do you agree that it's a bizarre-looking creature? Bizarre, yes, but also absolutely beautiful. The puzzle piece looking and the markings on the giraffe's fur are thought to be as unique as our own fingerprints. And thinking about uniqueness, the circulatory system of the giraffe is one of intricate design. And as Eric showed, even evolutionists cannot account for the presence of so many specific functioning mechanisms simultaneously that support the giraffe's existence. The next time you have the chance to visit a zoo or see videos about these amazing creatures, make sure to appreciate God's purpose in their bizarre appearance. Now, while giraffes are an extreme example of height, the elephant is an extreme example of size in every characteristic. As the largest land animals on Earth today, elephants are amazing. They're amazing symbols of size and strength, impressive features. They serve to show just how truly wonderful God's creation is. Let's join Eric again as he investigates the design found in this incredible mammal, the elephant.
Lions may be considered the king of beasts, but they pale in comparison to the size of elephants. The elephant is the largest land animal on Earth today. With somewhat amusing features like long noses and big ears, the awesome imperial African elephant can reach weights of up to 22,000 pounds and measure 13 feet high. Whereas giraffes are well known for being long all over, elephants are best known for being big all over. They have big bellies that can hold massive amounts of vegetation. They have sizable skulls and big brains weighing about 11 pounds. They have a heavy heart that can weigh as much as an average 7-year-old child. They have large legs that, in addition to carrying around several tons of body weight, can move at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. They have rear teeth that can grow to be 1 foot long and weigh 10 pounds. Their tusks, which are actually long teeth, can grow to be 10 feet long and weigh 200 pounds. Even their skin is big. It can grow to be up to 1 inch thick in certain places. Elephants even have big babies, which can weigh as much as 250 pounds at birth. The fact is, the African elephant is several times larger than was the average dinosaur, which was about the size of a buffalo. The elephant is perhaps most well known for the 6-foot-long, 300-pound proboscis hanging from its face. Scientists believe that the elephant's trunk is the most versatile organ in the animal kingdom. It's made up of tens of thousands of muscle units. Some muscles run long ways up and down the trunk. Other muscles radiate throughout, similar to the spokes on a bicycle. The elephant can use his trunk to lift things 3 times the trunk's weight. An elephant with a 300-pound trunk could lift a 900-pound cow. The elephant uses his trunk to suck, pour, and spray water into his mouth and on his body. He picks up food with it and tosses or blows it into his mouth. When he swims, he can use it as a snorkel. And when he has an eye itch, he can wipe his eyes with it. And when he gets mad, he can use his trunk in a fight. This flexible, funny-looking, boneless flesh cannot logically be the result of random evolutionary accidents as some would have us believe. Common sense demands that mindless, haphazard happenstance could never cause such an amazing animal organ to come about. There's no real evidence for the evolution of the elephant's trunk. This animal does, however, declare the glory of its marvelous maker.
As Eric showed us, the design of the elephant's trunk is central to its versatility and power. Doesn't it make sense that the largest land mammal living in savannas and forests would need an equally functional means to deal with its daily needs? The elephant's trunk is used in breathing and smelling with more sensory cells than any other nose, feeding and drinking by bringing nutrients into the mouth, and for fighting and defense, and sensing its surroundings and communicating with other elephants. No, evolution doesn't have an answer for the design in this enduring animal. But another large land mammal is the hippopotamus. While not as large as the various varieties of elephant, it rivals the largest rhinos as the next most massive creature on land. As seeming walking contradictions, the hippo is fat, but it's fast. It lives most of its time in water, but it can't even swim or float. And while it's a herbivore eating plants, it kills more humans each year in Africa than lions do. Let's listen in as Eric Lyons shows that these seemingly contradictions, well, they're actually wonders of creation that make clear the need for God as a mighty maker.
Not many animals have a name as fun to say as hippopotamus. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas sounds a lot more entertaining than I want a dog, a goat, or a cat for Christmas. The name hippopotamus means river horse, but of course they aren't horses. Hippopotamus comes from two Greek words, potamus meaning river, and hippos meaning horse, the order of which makes you wonder why the animal's not called potamus hippo. For whatever reason, the name hippopotamus stuck, and hippos have captivated people for thousands of years, and for good reasons. For one, hippos simply have a cute and funny look about them, kind of like a silly-looking pot-bellied pig, but tons bigger, literally. We may not normally think of huge, nearly hairless animals as cute, but hippos look like thousands of pounds of hilarious, lovable, huggable chubbiness. Their long, barrel-shaped, massive pot bellies are carried about on short, stubby legs. The largest hippos can reach lengths of 16 feet, weigh more than 9,000 pounds, and grow over 5 feet tall. With such big, blubbery bodies and short legs, you might not think hippos could run very fast, but in reality, they can move it. Hippos can trot on their stumpy legs at 18 miles per hour over short distances. When angry, they can reach even higher speeds, outrunning most humans. Hippos love the water. As long as lakes and rivers are around, that's where they spend most of their time. But they don't actually swim. They can't even float. They sink down into the water, trot along the bottom, and push back up for air. Sounds fun. Amazingly, hippos often sleep underwater. But how do they breathe? According to scientists, hippos are equipped with a subconscious reflex which causes them to automatically push themselves up to the surface for air at least every 5 minutes. Have you ever done a cannonball in a pool or a river and not held your nose? I don't recommend it. That shot of water up your nose can sting, take your breath away, and make you cough. And sometimes you can get excess water in one or both ears, which can cause discomfort, infection, and can make your hearing kind of muffled. Hippos don't concern themselves with getting water up their nostrils or in their ears. They have the ability to shut their nostrils and press their ears against their heads when going underwater in order to keep out most all of the water. What little water that might seep in, they quickly and forcefully expel from their nostrils and vigorously wiggle out of their ears upon resurfacing. Don't let a hippo's seeming adorableness deceive you. This animal is actually one of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. It's not that they're hungry hippos. They're just very territorial, especially in the water. Every year in Africa, hundreds of people who dare to get too close to these dangerous animals wind up losing their lives. Truly, one of the last places you would ever want to find yourself is in the jaws of a hippo. Though they are herbivores, that doesn't stop them from using their massive mouths and foot-long teeth to chomp down on nearly any animal or human that enters their territory, including crocodiles. A hippo's bite has been measured at 1,800 pounds per square inch. A hippo can open its mouth 150 degrees wide and then bite down with literal bone-crushing force. Neither lions nor crocodiles are any match for the jaws of this creature. If you lived in the blistering heat of East Africa and were out in the sun for very long, you would likely need a lot of sunscreen to moisturize and protect your skin. You would also want to take along some antibiotics, such as neosporin, so that if your skin cracks or you get a cut, you can properly treat your wound. Washing a wound in the dirty water in which hippos live would only worsen things. What do hairless hippos, at least mostly hairless, do to survive the hot African climate when they can't find much water? How does their bare skin not crack, peel, blister, bleed, and become infected during intense sun exposure? And when they do find water, how do any flesh wounds, perhaps from fighting another hippo, not get infected in bacteria-infested waters? Amazingly, these creatures have their very own built-in moisturizing antiseptic skin ointment factories. We're not talking about merely sweating salty water, which is cool enough and literally cools us off. Hippos produce and secrete a thick, oily fluid from special glands in their skin. The fluid is not mere sweat. Neither is it blood, even though some used to think so, since it turns red and then brown on the skin of hippos. It appears the ointment acts as a sunscreen, protecting hippos from harmful ultraviolet rays. Even more impressive is that the fluid functions as an automatic skin ointment. The neosporin-like fluid helps kill any harmful bacteria on the skin. It even protects the skin from becoming waterlogged when a hippo is in the water. If evolution is true, how did a hippo, or the alleged ancestor of the hippo, ever go from being unable to produce such a phenomenal fluid to making it? Does an animal just will such a thing to happen? Could you, if you wanted to produce your own neosporin? Do you really think our descendants could? The idea that hippos evolved this unique ability or any other doesn't make good sense. Design like that found in the hippo logically demands an amazing designer.
The hippopotamus has a comical sounding name and such a curious look to it, but as Eric just explained, both its name and its design has a purposeful meaning. Though large like the elephant, the hippo is so dramatically different, right? Short and stumpy and a large mouth and spends most of its time underwater. But for that style of life, the hippo is designed with everything it needs to live and to thrive. As we think about mammals that live in the water, the hippo is an interesting example, but really the biggest example of a water-loving mammal that we can investigate, it's not the hippo. Actually, the largest mammals on planet Earth don't even have legs. Blue whales are the largest mammals on the entire planet. And specifically, the blue whale, it's the king of the ocean. Eric has some huge insights to share about this larger-than-life ocean mammal.
There is big, and then there is the blue whale. Elephants are big, but they aren't blue whale big. Even though Argentinosaurus was huge and estimated 200,000 pounds, it still was only about half the size of the largest known blue whale. Blue whales are born big and then become enormous. A baby blue whale is almost 25 feet long at birth and weighs as much as a small pickup truck. The calf feeds on its mother's rich milk and gains about 200 pounds every day during the first year of life. By the time the baby becomes a full-grown whale, it can reach over 100 feet in length, as long as 3 school buses, and weigh nearly 400,000 pounds. Blue whales have a fluke that propels them forward underwater that is wider than a racquetball court. They're also the owners of the largest heart on Earth and the biggest tongue on the planet. a tongue that can weigh as much as a medium-sized Asian elephant. When a blue whale eats, it can fill its 20-foot-long megamouth with thousands of gallons of water in one gulp. The whale then uses its mighty tongue to push the water through its baleen, which are like thousands of bristles hanging from its upper jaw. The whale strains the water through its well-designed baleen while trapping any of its favorite food, krill, as well as other crustaceans and fish. The whale then uses its perfectly designed tongue to scrape the baleen clean of all its catch. A blue whale can eat about 8,000 pounds of seafood daily, the equivalent of eating 6 or 7 cows every day. Whales communicate with other whales using short, high-pitched songs. Whereas a noisy jackhammer can reach 100 decibels and a loud jet engine 140 decibels, scientists have measured the sounds that whales make at up to 188 decibels. A whale's communication ability is so powerful that researchers have recorded their songs from over 500 miles away, or the distance that separates Washington, D.C. from Cincinnati, Ohio. Evolutionists claim that whales evolved from land animals. In fact, the standard evolutionary explanation is that a sea creature evolved over millions of years into a land animal, which millions of years later went back into the water and evolved into the sea creature we call the blue whale. Allegedly, a wolf-like animal began eating fish and started living more and more of its life in the water. Over millions of years, this four-legged creature supposedly began living full-time in the oceans. Its front legs became flippers, while its back legs became tiny and non-functional. The creature's dog-like tail became a fluke, its teeth disappeared, and then voila, perfectly designed baleen conveniently evolved in just the right place. Where's the proof for such a whale of a story? Actually, there's no proof, just evolutionists' interpretation of various bones and fossils. No one has ever proved or will ever prove that the blue whale's great ancestor was a four-legged land animal any more than this dog-like animal's great ancestor was a fish. Whereas humans and most land animals could survive for only a few minutes in the frigid waters that marine mammals call home, whales are perfectly designed for life in the sea. The blue whale can withstand bitterly cold water temperatures because of the tens of thousands of pounds of blubber in its body. This blubber, which is made up mostly of fat, functions as insulation, helping keep the whale from freezing to death in chilly waters. Does it really make sense to believe that a 100-pound four-legged land animal evolved into a 400,000-pound blue whale over millions of years? How did it evolve the many specialized features of whales, such as the capability of withstanding freezing cold temperatures in deep water? How did the supposed dog-like ancestor of whales evolve the ability to endure the extreme water pressure that whales withstand when they dive thousands of feet below the surface of the water? Such pressure would quickly kill most creatures. How did a skinny, dog-like whip of a tail become a 20-foot wide fluke? How did the land animal's feet become flippers? And how in the world does a dog-like nose move to the top of its head and become a blowhole? That sounds like a lot of hot air to me. No four-legged creature fathered the blue whale. A whale's complex functional design demands a designer. These magnificent marine mammals should be a reminder of their maker and His Majesty. Both the scientific law of biogenesis and the Bible agree that whales produce according to their kind, and logically speaking, the first of its kind must have been created by an intelligent designer.
You can see that the blue whale is truly enormous. The largest heart of any creature, a tongue bigger than a truck, and an immense appetite for krill. But while it has a huge fluke, that's its tail, the evolutionary tail, that's a fictional story. It demonstrates the incredible leaps that one has to make when you stop following the straightforward law of biogenesis. On day 5 of creation, the Bible says that God made all the creatures that swim in the sea and that fly in the air. Since day 5, the largest mammals on earth, the whales, have made their presence known, reproducing after their own kind and populating the ocean. And they've also made the Creator's power known to you? Now's the time that I want to see how well you were paying attention in class. I'm going to test your memory and see if you remember some of those details that Eric taught us about those amazing mammals. All right, for the first question, of the large mammals we discussed today, which mammal has the highest blood pressure of any creature? If you were thinking about the long-legged, long-necked giraffe, then you're correct. That amazing heart and circulatory system keeps the giraffe going, no matter if it's reaching the tallest leaves or dipping low to take a drink from the river. Okay, our second question is about the largest land mammal, the elephant. What powers its amazing trunk? Is it hundreds of muscles or tens of thousands of muscles? You know, the human body has between 600 to 800 muscles, and that allows us to do all the things that we do. But just the elephant's trunk has tens of thousands of muscle units, which allow the trunk to be both precise for small movements, but powerful to lift hundreds of pounds. All right, let's move to question number 3. The name hippopotamus means water horse. But why is the hippo not susceptible to being sunburned? The answer has to do with those special glands in their skin, right? They secrete both a sunscreen type of substance and an antibiotic type substance to help with infections. That's amazing. All right, our fourth mammal that we discussed today was the ocean-dwelling blue whale. So our fourth question is, what keeps the blue whale warm in those cold, deep ocean waters? If you said layers of fat, then you're correct. And the official term for whale fat is blubber. It is specially designed just for the function that a blue whale needs out in those cold waters. All right, now for our last question, evolutionary theory says that mammals first evolved from less complex life, maybe cold-blooded fish coming out of the ocean and evolving to live on land. But then for the whales, like the blue whale, the warm-blooded land mammal had to go back in the water and evolve swimming abilities again. So in contrast, a creation perspective says that different kinds of complex life were created and only adapt within limited bounds of their environmental needs. So here's my last question. Which of these ideas, creation or evolution, best matches the evidence that we observe in nature? Creation, by far, is the most straightforward answer that accounts for all the complex life that we observe today. Thank you for being part of our class today and learning about the incredible mammals that God has made. We encourage you to be ready for our next class as we examine even more wonders of creation.